Traveling abroad is an exciting experience, and for some, often very intimidating, but it doesn't have to be that way. Hello, my name is William with Sun CNC Travel. In this video, we will explore several tips to consider for your next trip. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of this video, where the most important tip is going to be located. So first up, let's talk about cash. Cash is king, and that is even more true when traveling abroad. As a citizen of the USA, we've become increasingly a cashless society, but that isn't always the case in many other countries. Going to small markets or visiting small shops and cafes can present a problem without some local currency in hand. So with that being said, should you only carry US dollars, or does it make sense to make an exchange of foreign currency that makes the most sense? Well, I'm going to actually suggest doing both. I will discuss how to get some foreign currency in the next section of the video, but for now let's recognize that carrying both is definitely a good idea. As for cash safety, there's some options that are available to you. First, when I do get some cash when I am abroad, whether that's US or foreign currency, I try to only keep 2 to 3 days worth of spending cash with me at a time. Too much cash makes you a target, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. With that being said, here are my suggestions. My first, carry 2 wallets. Yes, definitely carry 2 wallets. Let's jump into why we should carry 2 wallets. First, if someone demands your wallet, you're potentially only losing half your possessions. Often I will make a giveaway wallet a little bit more appealing with lots of several small bills in it and a photocopy of my ID. Each of my wallets has a credit card, so if I lose one, I still have the other one to take care of life until I get that resolved. In terms of the ID, I keep my real ID in my main wallet, and I keep a copy, like I mentioned, in my giveaway wallet. Now, this rule of carrying 2 wallets does not include your spouse's wallet. I know you want to keep one, your wife's going to keep one, you'll be fine, but if they're going to demand one, chances are they're going to demand both. Here's a couple of the experiences that we've had while traveling abroad. In 2021, we visited Mexico a few times, and while visiting the coastal city, I was the unfortunate target twice of an unhonest police officer whom I had to bribe to get out of the so-called ticket. My giveaway wallet only had so much cash to work with, so the negotiations back and forth, there wasn't a whole lot of cash for him to grab, and I was able to get out of it with a little bit less risk and a little less loss. Many years ago, I visited Morocco, and I was down in a very busy street market. Frankly, I shouldn't have been there without a reputable guide, but I was young and naive. I kept my wallet firmly tucked in the front of my pocket, and while I was going through the market, I felt several people trying to pick my pocket. So I was very safe, but still very naive as well. The moral of this story is to be mindful about the fact that you're a foreigner in a country with citizens that often believe that Americans are very wealthy and, well, frankly, not very well aware of their surroundings. I will add also that in many couple of decades, I feel a lot safer being abroad than I do in some of our larger cities. So let's jump into credit cards. I tried to carry one good credit card with me. I'm going to carry an American Express. That American Express card is going to be something that's going to be very well taken care of for us. My other card is a Charles Schwab account. Charles Schwab is a very specific bank account. It's technically a checking account. I utilize this card mostly for going to the ATM to grab cash. And the reason why I use the Charles Schwab account is because they give me a refund of all of my ATM fees. So when I'm having to go every 2 or 3 days to grab some cash, I'm not having a whole lot of ATM fees that I have to lose and walk away from. As far as the American Express, they just take very good care of the card holders. So if there's an issue that comes up, they're going to take care of it. And that's really the largest reason why I want to have that on hand. Last year we were traveling in Central America. We had a hotel book that ended up being closed when we arrived. So I called up my travel agent. It's actually my wife sitting in the car next to me. She called the vendor that we used to book it through, and they were told, "So sorry, have a nice day." So I took some pictures of the closed hotel just so I could have that in case something could be useful. After getting back to the USA, I simply called up American Express. I shared my story. They did ask me for the photo that I had, but it wasn't necessary, but it did help our case. Within an hour later, they removed the charge from our card, and everything was all good. Now, as travel agents, I wish that we could treat our clients a little bit better, but in weird cases like this, we were somewhat stuck. So one last comment on that. This vendor was our least favorite vendor, but in some circumstances it is our only choice. I won't mention them here, but when you book with us, we will make sure that we're using all the better vendors, and if we have to use this vendor as the last resort, we're going to let you know. Last tip, they do have a consumer-facing website that's very popular. Now onto passports. First, make sure that your passport expiration date is at least 6 months expiration past the time of your planned trip. Next, we need to figure out how we're going to keep it safe. Keep it with you when you're traveling, keep it locked up in the safe when you're on a cruise, at the beach, at the resort pool. And an item that we haven't mentioned yet is a money belt. They're not cute, they're not sexy, it's just the way it is. Think of it as a fanny pack for underneath your clothes. They're relatively thin, they're modestly comfortable to wear. Do I wear one myself? Not usually, but I should definitely consider it. Alright, so let's talk about our final and most important tip. Photocopies, photocopies, and more photocopies. Everything of value that I take, I have a copy of it elsewhere. I have a copy of my passport, I have a copy of my driver's license, I have a photocopy of the front and back of all of my credit cards that are going with us on this trip. I'll often keep it in a suitcase, but even better would be to keep it in your carry-on. That way it's always with you. If we were to lose absolutely everything, we're still going to have a copy that we can take that passport to the embassy. It's still going to mess up our trip, but we're going to be able to have some information in hand that we can have with us along the way. We'll also have all of the information to be able to call the credit cards as quickly as possible and start getting that situation shut down so that we can have a little bit better experience for the rest of our trip. The very final tip here is going to be regarding all those photocopies. So I've taken all those photocopies, I've scanned them into my computer, and I've emailed that scan off to myself. It's just sitting inside of my email. If I lose my computer, my phone, my wallets, my passports, absolutely everything, I can still go and borrow somebody's computer, jump online, and pull up absolutely all those details and have them on my hand. So I wanted to thank you very much for taking the time to learn a couple of quick tips. We have lots more that we can't share with you in this video that we're trying to keep short. Feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to express more ideas and thoughts for you. Please continue to subscribe and like this channel. We appreciate that immensely and we look forward to working with you here in the very near future.